That's just now finally getting in the queue, or this big quarantine that's coming, it's waking people up. It's making a lot of people scared. Just to cross some T's and dot some I's real quick. If you're prepping, continue to prep. I would say you probably could get away with just like a week or two's worth of food and water. You don't have to go crazy. Toilet paper and stuff, just the basic needs around the house. Medications, if you want to pick up medications. The best way I can put this as far as what to expect, because I am a military veteran and I was in the Marine Corps, but I've never actually experienced martial law myself personally. So if you look at the indictment map, okay, you can find it on qmap.pub. I posted it on my Instagram and Facebook. If you lay the Q map for the indictment list that we have, there's over 147,000 grand jury sealed cases ready to go that have been stacked since 2017 when Q first posted and John Durham was first appointed by Jeff Sessions. So that's where that information is coming from. If you lay the indictment map right over the coronavirus the outbreak map that they have, it's an exact replica. And if you notice in the news, most of the people that are coming down with this virus are high-powered elites, Hollywood, CEOs, actors and actresses, media personalities, political personalities. It's all the big name people that seem to be catching this virus and that are really causing the hysteria. And even Bill Gates today, that was a huge breaking news story. He's stepping down as CEO of Microsoft. The Pentagon is reviewing their contract that they had with Microsoft, which is important because originally it was going to be between Microsoft and Amazon. Now, Amazon is owned by Jeff Bezos, who also owns the Washington Post, which is a huge fake news outlet, as we know. So when the Pentagon scrubbed Amazon and chose Microsoft, that was big because Amazon already has a $500 million CIA contract for data cloud sharing, which is important because your data, your personal financial data, it builds a personal profile of you online that creditors and marketers and all these people can continually flood you with ads for products that you are only talking about. So not only is your phone spying on you and processing all that information and taking all of your data and giving it to third-party vendors, that's why when you're talking about a product or a service with some friends and then you go on your phone, it's the first thing that pops up. That's why we call it the Matrix, because they want to keep you in a constant state of consumerism by pounding you with things that that they know that you're interested in. So you just keep spending money, keep locking yourself in that mindset of consumerism and entertainment. I'm digressing a little bit, but I just want to put that out there so that people know why the data sharing is so important, why these contracts with the CIA are so important, and why this contract being reviewed now by the Pentagon with Microsoft is so important. Because those are the two biggest companies that the Pentagon's been working with, and both of those companies, as we know, are deep state assets and deep state control mechanisms. So Bill Gates stepping down today, his father was head of Planned Parenthood. Okay, Bill Gates and the Gates family have been putting their hands in reproductive health services, vaccines, and all that other nonsense for decades as part of their Agenda 2020 and Agenda 2030 depopulation program. And anybody that says that that's a conspiracy theory, all you got to do is Google what Bill Gates says at these various TED Talks and at these various Bilderberg meetings and everything that he's doing. He openly says that he's trying to decrease the population if we're really good about reproductive health services, which is funny because nothing's being reproduced by abortion. The Democrats, they wanted to fight Trump tooth and nail for a $5 billion payment for the border wall at the southern border. But if you notice, recently, in the last few days, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats proposed an $8.2 billion bill to fight the coronavirus. And if you notice, Pelosi also tucked in a $1 billion federal program or grant for abortion. That has nothing to do with the coronavirus. Anybody with logical sense and common sense can see that. And anybody that's been following Q for a while knows the true story behind abortion and why that's relevant. But it's important to connect the two because the Democrats are the one that threw the abortion part into the funding bill for the coronavirus. Again, $8.2 billion to fight a virus that is 40,000 times less lethal than the flu has been since the coronavirus first became a pandemic in the news and all this other stuff over the last few weeks. It's all fake news. I'm not saying that it's not a threat. If you're an elderly person with pre-existing conditions, you're just as likely to get this as much as you are to get the flu or anything else. But if you're a healthy individual, like everybody with common sense and a medical degree has been saying, this is not the threat that the world thinks it is, and the lockdown is for a much different reason. The whole country of Italy is locked down right now. Germany, Chancellor Merkel, okay, she has refused to close her border. And she turned around this week and told her entire country that most of you will get sick, 70% of you will get sick. Now, if you're a president or a leader of a country and the entire world is under a pandemic and your neighboring country is one of the hot spots and ground zeros for this pandemic, why would you not close your border? Okay, so there's a lot of things going on in Germany and the EU, which is why we have the flight cancellations from foreigners who have been to certain countries. I think it's 26 countries that are not allowed to come into the United States. Now, optical reasons for that in the news media, fake news media, Trump has to portray that he's combating the virus when really what he's doing is isolating Europe. And there's a current live fire training exercise that kicked off called Defender Europe 2020, I believe. And that has at least over 18,000 U.S. troops in conjunction with 12,000 UN troops that are in Europe right now without any hazmat gear, without any special coronavirus protection, which the National Guard has been activated across the country because we're in a national emergency now. And as a Marine, logically speaking, you don't throw U.S. troops into a ground zero pandemic area when your whole country is in lockdown for a pandemic itself and the National Guard's been called up. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. The Vatican was raided several times over the last 6 months for their financial records. The Pope has been underwater. The Pope is also infected, and we all know who the Pope really is. So this is a military operation. We are rounding up the deep state as we speak. Everybody that's getting the coronavirus and exiting the public view is doing so under the guise of quarantine. After this quarantine is over, by all accounts that I've seen in the research with the Q Post, done in 30, cleaning house. Cleaning house means disinfecting. You're disinfecting your house. The virus is the deep state. The virus is the storm. And we took the deep state virus that they were going to launch against the public. And we took that panic and we took that method and we flipped it, and we're basically just reversing the outcome. If Hillary Clinton had been elected, the pandemic would be an actual pandemic. You would actually see weaponized 5G across the world. You would see the coronavirus being way more weaponized and way more lethal. So a lot of reports that have been coming out of China have been super scary, and they've also been super calming. I think I posted a video where Wuhan city residents were actually screaming outside their apartment building saying, it's all made up, this is all fake. So personal discernment with all this stuff. But this is it. This was a long time coming. The Fed is being restructured as we speak. We're putting a halt on payroll taxes. The Fed also introduced a whole 0.5 point reduction in rates, which I think our rating from the Fed was only like 1.75% or 2% or something like that. So a 0.5 point drop is absolutely huge. And the Fed is actually just literally pumping $1.5 trillion into the economy as a stimulus to be able to weather the corona lockdown effects across the economy. Small businesses are going to get federal grants, are going to get zero interest loans. So the president is trying to make sure that the people and small businesses and the economy doesn't suffer while National Guard is called in. Martial law is going to be called in eventually. Again, just look at the COVID-19 map and look at the indictment map. Those are the areas that you should most be concerned about. If you're not in a high target area, I wouldn't worry. I would still prep. But this is the storm. We've been preparing for this for 2 years now, at least. And we're going to do the best that we can to try to update you. I'm going to start kicking off podcasts again because there's just so much going on. I don't want to keep blasting your news feeds with articles every 10, 15 minutes. And I know there's a lot of people out there with questions, and people like the explanation a little bit more than just reading the post by themselves. So this is a very exciting time to be alive. It really is. And if everything pulls out the way that we think it does, guys, this is just the very beginning of a complete year of 2020 vision for 2020. And we're going to watch the entire old guard be systematically destroyed, and we get to watch it in real time. So be proud that you're awake. Be proud that you're paying attention. We made it through all the fake news. We made it through all the naysayers and all the abuse that we took over the years, and it's going to be worth it. And already people are blowing me up. It's been not, and I know every other non out there too. I have so many normie friends and family members now that are actually just asking my opinion. Whether they believe me or not is irrelevant, but the fact that they're asking questions, again, this is huge. So have a great night. We'll update you more as we can. MAGA, where we go on, we go well. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.